To take the steps to build a brand is building the best, most authentic version of yourself with a high level of execution in the service level you provide, like any brand, but even more so in the pet world because, you know, you can get a coffee that's not ideal, or a car wash that misses a couple spots in your car. But when you're talking about living, breathing beings, and these are people's canine family members, the margin for error is very low.
Martians landed?
Yes.
Wearing Prada suits?
Yes.
Drinking Henry Seltzer?
Yes.
Chewing juicy fruit?
Yes, and?
Your branding here?
Yes, brand.
Your message here?
Yes, and?
A verse about?
Yes.
Your product here?
Yes.
I'm Hirsch Redfin.
Yes, and?
I'm a message therapist.
Yes.
And I have a podcast.
Yes, brand.
That's right, that's it.
Yes.
We'll help you fix the world.
Yes.
Or your bottom line.
All right.
Your bottom line.
Get it. I get it. Welcome to the Yes Brand Podcast.
In the hot seat today on Yes Brand is Graham Bloem. Graham is the South African-born founder of Specialty Dog Training. He's a premier provider of elite personal and family protection dogs. I have a Shih Tzu and a Yorkie Poo. They don't necessarily fall under the category of protection dogs, but we do definitely consider them support animals. So they have that going for them. But you don't want to. We'll ask Graham about whether a Shih Tzu makes a good protection dog. But with over 25 years of experience and more than $20 million in revenue generated under SDT, Graham has placed hundreds of highly trained protection dogs with affluent families, executives, and public figures worldwide. And he is here today on the show. He caught my eye not only because of the business and, as I mentioned, having dogs and dog training, but also because of the special relationships that I know people have with their pets. And it really is, as we'll discuss, probably not very different when you're placing them professionally. Well, let's first welcome to the show, Graham.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure.
Well, first of all, audience always interested in how you got into this business. What drew you to the industry?
Yeah, I would say I was born into this work. I was born in Johannesburg, South Africa, and always around animals, domestic and wildlife. I was handling lion cubs at age 4 and 5 years old, and just always chasing animals, even just catching bugs in the yard. It didn't matter. Any living, breathing creature was of interest. So fast forward, immigrated to Toronto, Canada, continued my love and passion, studied the North American timber wolf, started really diving into the canine species, and then finally moved to California in '99. Where I went to animal behavior college and studied dog training, became a certified dog trainer. And from that point forward, it's just been all about the passion to help animals, specifically dogs and their owners.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that we had talked about earlier was the matchmaking process. One of these things that I wouldn't have necessarily thought of it. I would think, what kind of dog do I want for the job, right? What kind of dog do I want to protect the home, to do the things that you would look for in a good addition to your team, maybe. But what's the experience like, and what are some of the things that you guys do maybe a little differently?
Yeah, we do put a large emphasis on matchmaking, and I'm glad you brought that up because on the behavioral rehab and obedience side of the house, the main cause of issues that we see is most times the dog is not in the right home and the match wasn't correct to begin with, and now that dog is bred for purpose and they're exhibiting and demonstrating behaviors that aren't a surprise to us, but aren't a fit or maybe are a surprise to the owner. And so if we talk to clients ahead of their adoption or acquisition of a dog, we can talk to them about their lifestyle. What's a day in the life? Are they active? Are they semi-active? Are they not active at all? What are their extracurricular activities like? What is their work life like? Are they working from home and remote, or are they in the field 10, 12 hours a day? Do they need a dog sitter or a dog walker? Children in the home, other animals in the home. So really, there's a whole line of questions that we want to ask and learn about so that we can become the professional matchmakers that we are, and help align the right dog with the family from the start. And there's clients that call us and they say, "Hey, I'm looking for, I have to have this breed, and I really only want a puppy." And then we get into conversation, and they're like, "Whoa, I didn't know that." I had no idea a puppy went to the bathroom every 1.5 to 2 hours. And I also didn't know that this breed is predisposed to the following behaviors and medical ailments. So it's education through matchmaking. When we talk about protection specifically, there's a lot of other things that come into play because all German Shepherds aren't created equal. All Belgian Malinois, all Doberman Pinschers, all of the Guardian breeds. It's not like just, oh, go get a German Shepherd. There's so many variations of German Shepherds. There's long coated, there's short coated, there's show line, there's working line. And even within those lines, there are different variations of energy level, of drive, of intelligence and ability. So it really comes down to nailing down the fine details to ensure that when we're placing a pre-trained dog or helping someone navigate and search for a dog for their home and family, matchmaking is key. It is so important.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Um, and one of the things that we all go through when we get dogs, like in our case, one of our dogs is a rescue. You don't always know when you get a rescue, what their training has been. You may know nothing about them. You may, we knew we got ours, Mickey the Shih Tzu, when he was a year old. Um, but what's interesting is there are so many unknowns when it's a rescue or even adopting a puppy, and you don't know what its temperament will be or what it'll be like. In your case, you are kind of going through all of this process of making this match in advance. Um, how long does a dog typically stay with a family, or how does that work?
Yeah, so we can do matchmaking and placements of trained dogs through adoption, whether it's rescue. For pet dogs, we place a lot of pre-trained family pets under that category, or pre-trained emotional support animals, and even service animals that are task trained. And these can be rescues, but the difference being we're getting the information of the family and their needs, their wants, their lifestyle, and we're professionally evaluating and assessing dogs to ensure that their temperament, their trainability, and if there are any past traumas or lack of socialization or things that could come up, we learn those in the evaluation process. We can't tell you what happened and when it happened, but we can see through the behavior whether that's going to be a match for someone or not. So still able to make life-changing additions to families through adoption. On the other side, when we have purpose-bred animals that are trained to do a specific job at a very high level, like personal and family protection, these are dogs that are coming from reputable breeders that are doing things right. They're lifting up the breed. They're responsible breeders choosing homes, whether they're trainers like us that are then placing dogs in forever homes, or placing them in well-vetted homes where they know they're going to be cared for and loved, and the needs of that breed will be met. And so that process is very thorough. We start with bloodlines, lineage, so we're talking about pedigree. We'll go 3 to 5 generations back. We're looking at hip health, so orthopedic health, hips, elbows, spine, genetic testing for certain ailments to make sure that we're not bringing that into a dog's life, most importantly, but then also that future owner's life, and then what that dog's abilities are. We have clients that say, "Hey, I just want a beautiful, healthy German Shepherd that's well behaved that can also bark."
Hmm.
That's one level. Then we have clients that say, hey, I just went through a really traumatic experience. We had a nasty, burglary at our house. There was two men in the home, and we're all spooked, and we need first line of defense. And that dog has to be more capable and have higher level ability than the dog we talked about prior, which is just what we call a deterrent dog. So it's a very thorough process. Thousands of hours of socialization, dog training, in-home integration, and special added abilities. Outside of advanced obedience, all of our protection abilities, and we train them, and then we place them with families, and we transfer them over with a bonding and handling education. So these families are getting a very thorough, on average, 25 hours of handling education at transfer, to ensure they know how to handle, what commands to give, but also that they're bonded. Sometimes families will visit the dogs during their training program to answer your question about, when is the family involved and how does that bond
Hmm.
happen? And others will wait for the dog to be finished based on their location, but we still do those bonding exercises at time of transfer.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's something that you can't do without. I'm thinking in terms of, as I listen to you, I'm not sure that Mickey has the stuff to be, to really serve that purpose for us. But in all seriousness, I just because I have you here, I wanted to ask you about some of his behavior, which um, and even with all the training, everything that goes into the dogs that you work with and the clients that you work with, I suspect that that a dog's personality is in some ways, very intrinsic to who they are, um, likes, dislikes, things like that. Mickey has a tendency to mark, uh, pretty much any wall or any kind of any not it's not all over the place. I mean, he's now just turned 2.
Okay.
He it doesn't seem to be a bladder thing. It seems like he's compelled at some points to just often when we're not there off just to like the side of a garbage can, the a wall, something something like that, a wall. We put in these little kind of you know uh, rug with the grass with the little we
Oh,
put
yeah.
in a little pseudo pad that
Yeah.
looks like that even has a wall, right? And he ignored the wall, you know. Um, so it's a weird thing, and it's frustrating because he's so sweet and such an adorable dog and companion to our other dog, Toby, who's a Yorkie poo, who's turning 6. That I don't know what it is, but it seems like something like some kind of Well, you tell me what it sound what comes up for you.
Yeah, so there's a big difference between marking behaviors, and potty training or potty accidents and urination in the house. Typically, the easiest way to decipher the two is, there's a kind of a false set of information out there that boy dogs have to lift their legs, male dogs have to lift their legs to go to the bathroom. And in fact, most male dogs will squat to urinate and lift their leg to mark.
Yeah.
And so the difference in that behavior is that a dog is claiming their territory. Now, sometimes it's coming from insecurity and they're overcompensating to feel more bold and more confident and more secure. So they're marking. Sometimes it comes from more of an alpha tendency or overly confident dominant dog, and they're marking on everything because they do own the roost and they run the show. And so they're going to make sure that their scent is left behind. Ultimately, it's a survival instinct. Believe it or not, all dogs come from wolves, even your little kids, right? Once upon a time. And so that survival instinct is pretty remarkable, in how it works and the fascinations, but unfortunately carried over into a home is very unpleasant. And dogs carry a percentage of urine in their bladder that they hold on to that's just used for marking. And it's very, you know, kind of an awkward topic. We're talking about stinky dog pee, but the reality is, you know the difference. One, because your dog's lifting his leg, but also because the odor is stronger. It's a darker, more concentrated urine that's supposed to smell stronger to be used for marking. Um, so, that's I'm hearing from what you're sharing is a marking problem. Now, if you're introducing dog scents from outside of the home, like you go to a friend's house, family member, neighbor, you pet a dog, you see a dog on a walk, and you come home, he's going to smell that dog and he's going to want to mark anything with that scent on it. He might also be having what we call an interdog struggle in the home, with Toby, where there's a little bit of struggle in the home, and he's wanting to win or rule. The good news is there are solutions to help you, and some of them are conventional, typical what you might read and hear about to create good leadership, new structure and boundaries, form new positive habits. Putting a potty tray in the house is a good idea, but unfortunately, with marking, because you're not having a potty training issue, that's not the solution.
Right, right, right.
It could help us as a part of the tool, but it's not the solution. So I'll tell you a very quick story which you can apply, and we can talk later, and I'll help you. But I met a 5-year-old English bulldog that had been marking in his owner's home his whole life. And he was marking so badly that they replaced the baseboards in their home multiple times. It was just
Wow.
awful, like just terrible all over this beautiful home. And dogs don't typically like to dirty or mess where they eat. And so the theory is if we can feed them where they're marking as one trick of the trade, not the end all fix all, but one tool, then we'll see a decrease in the marking behavior and sometimes resolve it altogether. So what we like to do is we introduce obedience, which is communication between human and dog. We introduce some basic leadership exercises to remind the dog that it's our home, and that in a loving but in a parenting style fashion, that it's needs to be respected. But then this feeding where they eat. Well, how do we get food on baseboards? Well, I thought of an idea and it worked wonders. I took packet cream cheese, snipped the corner top edge, and every other day to begin, had the client wipe random areas of the house with cream cheese on the baseboards. And then we went every 3 days, and then we went to a random, no pattern. Some days it'd be there, some days it wouldn't. So the dog never knew when the treat was going to show up on the surface that he was marking. Well, it took us three
Wow.
months. But he never marked in his house again after 5 years of
Wow.
urinating in the home. So that's one dog, one case, one scenario. But if we combine all those things together, there are unique ways to approach these. And, thinking about what you're working through, again, this would be a combined approach. But one of them would be let's find something that brings value to what he's marking. So if he's marking the outside of the trash can, obviously, we'd clean it to make sure it's sanitary surface for him, put something on it like a dog safe peanut butter, allow him to lick a little bit of it off. And now the value of the trash can goes through the roof, and he no longer wants to dirty that surface.
Yeah.
So, very unique
Well,
approach, but it does help.
well, first of all, thank you, Graham. And I do feel I had thought about this before asking. I do feel like people who are listening are very likely to be, if they're pet owners, having some kind of similar, it's not like out of the blue. But I will tell you, we already had some success by one of the when he first started with this marking thing, um, which happened after he was potty trained, after he was trained. So
Yeah.
it was a weird thing. It was about 18 months or something like
Okay.
that, where he really started this marking thing in earnest. And he was doing it in this one place, and we moved his dish over to that place, cleaned it up, moved, set his food up there, and he stopped doing it there.
Yeah.
Um, we've tried a lot of the sprays,
Hmm.
the urine destroyer sprays, even the ones that stop them from biting on the furniture.
Yeah.
It kind of dissuades them, but not, or him, but not necessarily. But I think this idea of just kind of lining and then not knowing when it's going to be there and when it's not, you know, is interesting. But I don't want to get too
Yeah.
carried away with it. But I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Graham.
Yeah, of course.
My wife will be very happy to hear some new strategies. She's kind of obsessed with it now. So let's talk about your business model. Let's talk about building the business, building specialty dog training into the business that it is, because as you know, we love to talk about branding and marketing.
Yeah.
Tell us some of the things you did to get to where you're at, and what works best.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing in the dog training world is to lead with your heart because dogs are an emotional topic and people need to know that you're connected and that you actually love what you do. And that's the whole reason I got into this business is the passion. Um, to take the steps to build a brand is building the best, most authentic version of yourself with a high level of execution in the service level you provide, like any brand, but even more so in the pet world because, you know, you can get a coffee that's not ideal, or a car wash that misses a couple spots on your car. But when you're talking about living, breathing beings, and these are people's canine family members, the margin for error is very low. And so, talking about building that know, like, trust factor, getting to know people, building trust, and creating relationship. I started the company with just myself and kind of Lone Ranger, traveling house to house. And as you start to scale, you realize I want to help more people. There's a lot more people that needed help than I could keep up with. So introducing additional team members and building that. And as we build brand and build the company, you have to bring on team members that are equally passionate, and at least as good as you. I prefer to have people around me that are better than me, than what I do, so that we can complement one another and learn from one another. Integrating into community networks has been a big piece of what we do, whether it's local magazines, going to local events. There's a lot of events that happen in these pocket communities. If you show up and shake hands and get to know people, and just oftentimes 2, 3 hours of just being an advice board, like you talking about marking, and allowing the community to know that the values there, was a piece of a stepping stone that needed to happen. Um, Giving back is a big part of what we do. And it also provides, we do it for the right reasons, but it absolutely provides an opportunity for branding, and elevating the brand, allowing our clients to know that when they work with us, they're not only getting high level dog training and support and service, but they're also giving back to the community because we donate a portion of proceeds to a variety of different charitable organizations. And it sets us apart. It again goes back to the heart of the organization, and it allows us to create branding opportunities because our partners are shouting, or those that we're donating to, NPO partners, nonprofit organizations, they're shouting from the rooftops about our kindness and generosity. And so it's not us having to do our own propulsion of our marketing message always, it's others sharing. And then, of course, tried and true methods of marketing and branding, right? Getting the message out there and ensuring that our brand is being built in front of the public eye. So social media, organic and paid ads, getting in front of, everyone typing in dog training and trained dog for sale, or anything else that people are searching for, and making sure we're found on Google, and ensuring that those systems are in place to support those processes. We've got a wonderful marketing agency that helps us execute those things and elevates our brand all the time. But yeah, impressions, I think I talk to a lot of people, especially in our industry, and people view impressions as how many times your ad is seen online, for example. I
Right.
view impressions as everything. everyday impressions. Every phone call is an impression. Every time you meet someone on the street, that whether they're going to work with you or not, if they've got a dog and you have a conversation, that's an impression. And that impression has ripple effects that can last months or years, because I'm getting referrals from 20 years ago from someone that says, "Oh, I bumped into you at a park and I was watching you train your dog 2 decades ago. I finally got a puppy and you're the guy I thought of." That's an
Wow.
impression, is connection and
Yeah.
relationship. But yeah, it's always a work in process, and it's a competitive space. So standing out from others is definitely about branding. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was going to ask you, um, what about yourself getting out there? As you mentioned, you were kind of born into this
Yeah.
in a sense. You were raised around dogs, and this has become part of your this whole business is a reflection of your history. So the question is, looking ahead, do you get out and do talks, trainings, uh, you know, speaking engagements? What about that side of it?
Yeah, I think as I look and really dissect what we've done over the last 25 years, the key is being humble but confident, and knowing what value I can bring through my dog training experience and all the wealth of knowledge that's up here in my head that needs to be shared more. So absolutely, the goal is to share on a bigger platform continuously so that we can reach even more people. Right now, let's say we reach 100 dog owners a month through our services and the dog training team we've built and I've built. But how nice would it be and special would it be to reach millions of people that have the same question you had of, hey, my dog's marking,
Yeah.
what do I do? Or I'm in need of a specially trained dog, and how do I find that? And so, absolutely, sharing on a bigger platform and more frequently is a goal and something that we look to accomplish at a bigger level in 2026.
No, that's great. That's exciting to think about and watch. I want to give you the last word and ask you to first of all share where people can reach you and all of that good stuff, and it'll be in the show notes and so forth. But also to maybe share something about the human and dog relationship that people may not know, and maybe that would be a fun closing thought.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, please visit us on socials. Instagram's a great place to watch some great videos, get connected. And if you're in need of a personal companion that's either a pet or a security system at home that's a loving companion but also protects you, just direct message us security. We'll send you some great information, a free guide that you'll learn a plethora of information from, and some exclusive opportunities and sale items through the Yes Brand podcast with Graham Bloem here at Specialty Dog Training. So do connect with us at Specialty Dog Training. As far as the human and canine relationship, something that I'll share is with 25 years of professional dog training experience, connecting with dogs, thousands of dogs at a very intimate level, the connection that we have and the way that dogs process our relationship and the commitment to us as people is so much deeper than I ever thought and that science has ever alluded to. And every year there's a new article that comes out to speak on it. But I can tell you that they're picking up on everything. Your vibrations, your energy, your mood, your needs, your wants. And if you pay attention, those micro behaviors, those small behavioral changes you see in your dog where they notice a change in you, if you can pick up on those and notice them and reward them, that relationship's going to build and grow like you've never seen it before.
All right.
If you liked the show,
Yes, and
it worked for you,
yes, then
subscribe and leave a
yes, friend.
5-star review.
Yes, friend.
Tell all your friends.
Yes, friend.
Get your branding here.
Yes, friend.
Get your branding here.
Yes, friend.
Did I make it clear?